Well, everyone, it's time for us to go and take a look at the Google Pixel 5 and see how this particular phone holds up in the later part of 2023. Now, the one thing I'll definitely tell you is that this particular phone is still a very interesting device because of one particular feature that Google put on this particular phone. We'll get into that in a second. On the outside though, the Pixel 5, not much has changed, as much hardware doesn't change throughout the years. You're getting that, 6-inch display on this thing, which is really, really decent. It's an OLED display at 90 Hertz and pretty good display. I felt like since the beginning of time, this was a pretty good change that Google did. And I still think it looks very, very good. USB Type-C port on the bottom. You're getting that standard, aluminum build on this phone too, which still looks and feels very good. You're getting that dual camera setup on the back as well. You're getting wireless charging, reverse wired charging, and that, little fingerprint sensor on the back. It's still pretty nice, although everything has kind of changed with the landscape. We now have like 120 Hertz displays and triple camera setups and fingerprint sensors in the display now, but it is what it is. I still think this on the exterior was a really good choice from Google. Now, probably the biggest thing that has came with this particular phone, I would say right now, is with that unlimited Google Photo, backup storage. So essentially, if you owned a Google Pixel 5, actually it was like any of the Pixels, including the Pixel 5 and before, Google was basically giving you unlimited Google Photo storage for life. So that was actually a super crazy thing, and actually a really, really big reason why you might want to buy something like a Google Pixel over something like maybe another Samsung Galaxy or whatever. That was in and of itself a really, really big thing that Google ended up doing here. And I think that was actually a super smart thing that they did too. That kind of marketed the Google Pixels a little bit better. And I think that in and of itself was a super cool thing that they did at the end of the day. Now, with that being said, this phone is kind of an interesting device because beyond that, it is kind of the last phone to be getting Android 14. So this Pixel 5 did get the Android 14 update, but I don't think it's going to be getting any more software updates after the fact. So you're pretty much done on Android 14, and that's pretty much where we are now. So I don't really think, I don't think it's a bad thing or anything like that. This phone is still going to be supported, and it's still going to be here for quite a bit of time in terms of security updates and everything, but we're pretty much done getting software support on this thing. So keep that in mind. If getting Android 15 and Android 16 was important to you, this isn't really going to be one of those devices. So it's just one of those things to keep in the back of your head. But beyond that, I think it's a super cool thing too, and I think that's a super important thing to keep in mind here as well. So performance-wise, it's still pretty decent. You're getting that Snapdragon 765G chipset with 8 gigs of RAM. And this was actually, technically speaking, one of the last Google Pixels to actually have a Snapdragon chipset. That's actually a pretty insane thing. I think the Pixel 5a was probably taking that claim, but this was the last mainline flagship Pixel to have that Snapdragon. And I kind of do miss the days that these phones did have the Snapdragon chipsets because those were way more optimized. But again, what are you going to do? It's still a pretty good performing phone when it comes down to it. So to kind of sum it up, I still think the Pixel 5 has a lot of quality and a lot of capability and a lot of power. And I still think it's a phone that I would recommend, majority of people to actually go ahead and pick up. I think the only reason I wouldn't recommend buying this phone is if you want to go ahead and basically still have a phone that's probably still going to have a long future ahead of it. But I would probably say for the vast majority of people, you're probably going to be okay with something like the Pixel 5. And I think that's a really, really good phone to buy as well. So if you want to buy a phone for the next 2 years or so, this is a decent option. If you have any other thoughts or questions, let me know in the comment section below. Hit the like button, that'll mean so much, but definitely hit that subscribe button. More importantly than everything else, I love every single one of you guys. Hopefully I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out till then.